Raccoon Shield. What happens when a genius raccoon from outer space teams up, or maybe clashes, with the most feared monarch in the Marvel Universe? You get one of the most unexpected, hilarious, and chaotic team-ups in comic book history. Books, welcome back to the channel, heroes and villains. Today we're diving into Marvel's one-shot special, Dr. Doom and Rocket Raccoon #1, written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Robson. This wild crossover throws together two characters who couldn't be more different, the brilliant, brooding tyrant of Latveria, Dr. Doom, and the trigger-happy, wisecracking guardian of the galaxy, Rocket Raccoon. Crown Raccoon. So what brings these two together? Let's just say, cosmic threats, clashing egos, and a whole lot of blaster fire. Expect sharp writing, unexpected humor, and a surprisingly deep look at power, pride, and interstellar politics, with a healthy dose of chaos. Stay tuned as we break down the plot, showcase some stunning artwork, and talk about why this comic is a must-read for fans of either character, or just great Marvel storytelling. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you trust Rocket Raccoon and Dr. Doom to save the multiverse? Let's jump in.
Dr. Doom stood in his lab in Latveria, carefully examining his latest project. He muttered to himself about the need for a more refined and intricate structural lattice. Adjusting the chronospatial filaments at a molecular level would be a challenge for most, but for Doom, it was merely another step in his work. Before he could continue, an unexpected explosion erupted from his machinery, destroying one of his Doombots. Doom sighed, and summoned another Doombot. Before the new Doombot could respond, a noise from outside caught Doom's attention. Someone had arrived. Doom walked towards the entrance, still contemplating his work. As he opened the door, he found no one in sight. A voice called up from below, drawing his attention downward. Rocket Raccoon stood there, clearly annoyed. He explained that he had been forced to land his ship far from the castle and had to make the long trek on foot through the cold. He was tired, his fur was still damp from the journey, and drying it properly was no easy task, even with a good hairdryer. He made it clear that if Doom wasn't going to let him in, he would be happy to take his skills elsewhere, someplace warm, someplace dry. Doom allowed Rocket inside, and as soon as he stepped in, the raccoon wasted no time getting to the point. He wanted to know why Doom had summoned him, why it had to be in this particular place, and why it was all so last minute. Most importantly, he wanted to know what was so urgent that he had to cross half the known galaxy on an empty stomach. Doom simply stated that it was a long story. Rocket noted that everything with Doom was a long story. As they spoke, Rocket overheard one of the Doombots repeating technical details about adjusting chronospatial filaments. Curious, he questioned Doom, jokingly asking if he had a ventriloquist dummy in the next room. Doom started to explain, but Rocket immediately cut him off, warning that if he had said a long story again, he would take him down. Doom instead offered to explain over dinner. Before they could move, another explosion echoed from above, but Doom remained unfazed. At the dinner table, Doom gestured for Rocket to sit wherever he liked. Rocket was taken aback by the sheer variety of food laid out before him. Doom assured him that if a dish was missing, it simply didn't exist. 20 minutes into the meal, Rocket began recounting past events, particularly the time he and Doom had swapped bodies. After experiencing Doom's intellect firsthand, he had made the mistake of calling Doom a genius in front of the Guardians, a statement that had not gone over well. Rocket went on, saying that finding someone almost as smart as he was had been a rare experience. Doom, however, interrupted to the point that the books Rocket was currently sitting on were rare, some of them the only known copies dating as far back as the 12th century. Rocket, completely unfazed, simply noted how comfortable they were, appreciating how well they modeled to his shape. Doom, showing no reaction to this blatant disregard for historical preservation, decided it was time to reveal the real reason for Rocket's presence. Before he could begin, Rocket let out a loud burp and casually apologized, prompting Doom to repeat once more that, as he had said, it was a long story. Dr. Doom reflected on his past, recounting the tragedies that shaped him. His mother, a proud woman of Roman descent, had become a sorceress to avenge the suffering inflicted upon her people. For that, she was murdered by Mephisto. His father, a good and decent man who had worked as a doctor, had been wrongly blamed for the death of a member of the royalty. Forced to flee, he had sacrificed his own life to keep his son warm in a brutal blizzard. Seeking knowledge to heal the world, Doom had come to America, only to see his dreams shattered. His hopes were dashed, his face disfigured, and he became the monster the world now knew. Lost, wounded, and broken by a world built on cruelty, he had stumbled upon a temple dedicated to freeing the mind. It was there he had forged his own prison, the mask he wore every day, hiding a face filled with rage and sorrow that could never be removed. For every action, there had been an equal and opposite reaction. He had unleashed horrors upon the world, committed acts of theft, manipulation, and murder. No joy had been left untainted, no purity left uncorrupted, no power left unchallenged. Power had been his only means of revenge. But each time, he had been defeated, broken, forced to confront the truth. In time, and with great difficulty, he had begun to understand that he had always been on the wrong side of history. With that understanding had come two things: a desire to do better, to be better, and a question. Rocket Raccoon, listening, wanted to know what the question was. Doom simply stated he had already told him. Confused, Rocket asked again, only for Doom to repeat himself. Frustration built between them as Rocket demanded an answer, while Doom calmly insisted that why was the question itself. Their back and forth escalated until Rocket, exasperated, suggested they start over. More than an hour later, Rocket finally grasped the meaning behind Doom's words. The question was not just about Doom's own suffering, but why all suffering had to exist. Why had these terrible things happened to him? Why had so many others suffered because of him? He paused, then instructed Rocket to follow him. Doom led Rocket to a new location, explaining that he had once constructed a time platform capable of traveling forward and backward through time. But now, he needed to go further than he'd ever gone before. To achieve this, he had been working on a new device, one that could go where the time platform could not. He challenged Rocket to identify the problem he was facing. Rocket thought aloud, piecing it together. If Doom could already travel back and forth through time, the only place he couldn't reach would be one where space-time coordinates didn't apply. But if time was removed from the equation, there would be nothing for the time platform to lock onto. That was the problem. Time existed because space existed, and space had only come into being after the Big Bang. If Rocket was right, Doom wanted to go to a point before time itself had begun. Doom did not want to revisit the Big Bang. He wanted to go beyond it. Rocket demanded to know why. Doom confirmed that was precisely the question. Rocket, growing impatient, warned Doom not to play word games again. Doom elaborated, explaining that science had revealed how the universe came into existence, but no one had ever answered why. His purpose was to go back to that moment before time and space existed, to ask the fundamental question of existence itself. He wanted to understand why he had been set on this path, why so many had suffered, and ultimately, why everything was the way it was. Rocket, still processing, asked where he fit into all of this. Doom explained that the work was a combination of science and magic. He could handle the magic, but he needed someone to assist with the science. When they had switched bodies, Doom had seen Rocket's mind and recognized that he had the skills necessary to help. He had tried using Doombots, but they lacked Rocket's particular expertise. Rocket, never one to downplay his own abilities, acknowledged his genius. Still, he questioned why Doom had chosen him specifically. There had to be someone closer to home who could help. Surely, Doom had a friend he could turn to. Doom's response was simple. A ruler had only allies who were useful in the moment, and enemies who were never confined to just one moment. Rocket paused, letting the weight of those words settle before asking one final question. So, no friends then? No friends at all? Doom did not answer directly. Instead, he simply informed Rocket that his payment had been transferred as agreed. The work would begin in the morning. Doom advised Rocket to rest if he could. He would need it. On the first day, Rocket began assessing Doom's work, and after some observation, commented on the quality of his science, implying that it needed improvement. He also pointed out signs of a rodent problem before getting to work on the machine. While eating, he casually suggested that Latveria could benefit from a good pizza place. On the second day, Rocket moved on to evaluating Doom's magic, again, remarking that it needed work. Doom cautioned him against touching a particular button, but Rocket pressed it anyway and received a powerful electric shock. Later, Doom reminded him that he had tried to warn him. Rocket, still recovering, dismissed it with mild irritation. Their work continued over the following days. By the 5th day, Rocket had finally cracked the problem. He realized where Doom had been stuck, and, standing before the fireplace, prepared to explain his discovery. He acknowledged that Doom had been hindered by his lack of Rocket's level of genius. Doom, in turn, reminded Rocket that he could have him killed with a mere gesture. Rocket, curious, asked him what kind of gesture, but Doom only responded that he should let it be a surprise before urging him to continue. Rocket explained that all time machines operated by entering specific coordinates, year, date, and time, to travel through time. However, before the Big Bang, there were no such coordinates. The key was not to move through time at all, but through entropy. The fundamental theories of time and space dictated that time should, theoretically, flow both forward and backward, but it didn't. Instead, time moved forward because it was tied to entropy, which had been increasing ever since the Big Bang, constantly building towards equilibrium. This stability allowed for movement to fixed points in time. Rocket, now excited, jumped onto Doom's chair as he continued explaining. Rather than traveling through time, the solution lay in modifying Doom's technology to reduce the entropy. If they could achieve that, they would not be moving through time. Instead, time itself would flow in reverse around them. By reversing entropy to the 0 point that existed at the moment of the Big Bang, they could take one step further, lowering entropy from 0 to -1. That would place them on the side of the Big Bang, at the threshold of whatever event had caused everything to begin. Doom considered this for a moment before posing another question. How would they locate the exact point where everything changed? Rocket explained that they wouldn't need to. In a state of timeless space and spaceless time, there would be no fixed point to find. Without space or time, there could be no singular moment or location. Once past the edge of entropy, they would exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, exactly where they would be needed to witness the origin of the universe. Doom, satisfied with the revelation, reached out and began patting Rocket on the head. Rocket immediately warned him never to do that again. Doom responded by mentioning that Thor had told him Rocket liked it. Rocket, unamused, informed him that Thor had lied. Doom, acknowledging the complaint, simply referred to Rocket as Rabbit before moving on. They continued working on the project over the next several days. By the 8th day, they took a break to play board games. As they played, Rocket grew increasingly frustrated with how Doom always ended up owning everything on the board. Doom simply replied that he understood capitalism. Rocket, curious, asked if Doom would teach him about crypto. Doom dismissed the idea, saying that neither Rocket nor anyone else was ready for that. On the 10th day, they took in the view from the castle walls. Their work continued on the 11th and 12th days. At one point, Doom issued a stern warning to stay away from a particular box. Rocket, curious as always, asked why. Doom cryptically explained that it contained terrible power. He didn't question why Doom had brought it out at all, but Doom simply told him to wait and see, emphasizing that it was best not to get too close if Rocket valued anything. On the 13th day, Rocket declared they were nearly ready. As he walked out of the room, he mentioned that the only thing they still needed was a power source. But since Doom had assured him that this was already handled, there shouldn't be any issues. However, upon opening the door, he saw Doom standing before the open box, engaged in some sort of ritual. Doom ordered Rocket not to interfere or speak. He continued his incantation, invoking unseen forces, commanding them to descend and submit to his will. By his blood and his command, he demanded their service. As the ritual reached its climax, the box suddenly slammed shut. Doom, now finished, turned to Rocket and declared that the ritual was complete. They had acquired the energy source they needed, one derived from the vast cosmic forces that governed life and death. With their preparations finalized, they were now ready to depart. As they made final preparations, Doom acknowledged the dangers of the path ahead and reminded Rocket that he did not have to come. Rocket, unfazed, insisted that he wouldn't miss this for anything. However, his attention was soon drawn to something unusual, Doom's final component for their power source. Doom revealed that it was a piece of his very soul, made manifest. Rocket, taken aback, remarked on how painful that must have been, recalling the screams of agony he had heard the previous night. Doom explained that by drawing upon a part of himself, his own life and past, the sphere would gain the necessary momentum and direction to travel backward through time. Rocket jokingly asked if it could also open the garage door before quickly anticipating Doom's usual response and silencing himself. But Doom did not demand silence this time. Instead, he declared that the moment for quiet had passed. Now, it was time to make noise. Without further delay, he pulled the lever, activating the machine. Rocket barely had time to protest, saying he had meant to use the bathroom one last time, but it was too late. They vanished from the ground. As they traveled, Rocket observed that everything was functioning as expected. The quantum chronometer confirmed they were moving backward in time and gaining speed. Soon, they would reach the beginning of everything. A thought occurred to him, something he had been too busy to consider before. If figuring this out had been relatively simple for two geniuses like themselves, why had no one else attempted it? Doom answered that others had. Rocket, confused, wondering why he had never heard of them. Doom explained that they never returned. When Rocket questioned why, Doom theorized that it was likely due to the dark forces that guarded creation itself. And trespassing into such sacred territory would inevitably attract the attention of those tasked with preserving its sanctity. With the threat now looming, Rocket asked what they were going to do about it. Doom's response was simple: engage the enemy. Rocket was surprised to learn that the machine had built-in weaponry, but Doom assured him that he built weapons into everything. That was why he was Doom. At his command, the onboard computer locked onto their attackers and fired, eliminating the threats with ease. Rocket, however, was skeptical. It had been too easy. Doom explained that the weapons had kept their adversaries at bay until their temporal trajectory was locked in. The enemy had simply avoided the fight until then, not wanting to get caught in the inevitable backwash. Rocket asked what backwash he was referring to. Doom explained that it was the weight of his own past, now pulling them deeper into time. As they continued their descent, Doom found himself confronted with flashes of his own history, memories of his father, his mother, and all the pain that had shaped him. Overwhelmed, he commanded an acceleration of their trajectory, unwilling to see anymore. Rocket, however, pointed out there was nothing left to see. They had reached the moment of the Big Bang. The sight left Rocket in awe, and for once, he hesitated. He wanted to take a moment to process what they were witnessing, but Doom had no patience for sentiment. Without hesitation, he initiated the next phase of their journey. He forced entropy beyond zero into the negative, and the entire universe blurred into a state of incomprehensible nothingness. At last, they arrived at their destination. Absolute nothingness. There was no time, no space, not even the absence of things. There was only the void before existence itself. Rocket pointed out that stepping beyond the barrier of the sphere would mean ceasing to exist entirely. With that option off the table, he asked what they were supposed to do next. Doom's answer was simple. They would wait. Wait for revelation. Wait for answer. And as he suspected, wait for something else. Something appeared before them, an entity. Doom demanded to know its identity. He asked if it was alone. Being's response was paradoxical. It had always existed, yet had never been. It had never known solitude, for there had never been another. Until now, until it was not alone. Doom stated their purpose plainly. They had come seeking knowledge. The being echoed the word, but seemed unfamiliar with the concept. Doom refined his request, asking for answers, for understanding. The being repeated those words as well, but admitted that it did not know their meaning. Frustrated, Doom dismissed the entity as lacking even the comprehension of a child. Rocket, however, reminded him that such concepts did not exist before the universe. There was no context for them to be understood. Doom, refusing to be deterred, demanded to know how he was supposed to learn the purpose of the universe if the only being that predated it could not provide an answer. How was he supposed to understand why? The entity, seemingly intrigued by the question, recognized something new. The concept of curiosity, a word and idea it had never known before, and along with it, other sensations, hunger, desire. Doom realized what was happening, tried to stop it. The entity was reaching for the power source. He warned it not to touch it, explaining that it contained a piece of his soul. The entity took the power source from them. As it did, it spoke of desire, the desire to understand, the drive to seek answers. It asked the question that Doom had sought all his life. What was the purpose of what would soon be called the universe? The entity then provided the answer. The universe existed to find its own purpose. It was a cycle of curiosity, of evolving through pain and uncertainty, until one day that purpose would finally be defined. Until the question was answered, the cycle would continue, and on that distant day, the universe would begin again. With that, everything went black. When the light returned, they were back. Rocket immediately excused himself for a long overdue visit to the bathroom. An hour and 3 flushes later, Rocket stood outside, ready to leave. Doom informed him that a Doombot was prepared to escort him back to his ship. Rocket hesitated, questioning if that was truly it. Doom acknowledged Rocket's assistance, but Rocket wasn't seeking gratitude. He wanted to know if Doom understood the magnitude of what they had just uncovered. They'd answered the greatest question in existence. The universe had been created with purpose, the very same purpose that had driven Doom his entire life. Every trial he'd faced, every moment of suffering, every relentless pursuit of understanding had shaped him into the one being who would ask the right question at exactly the right time. It was in his image that the universe had been formed. Rocket asked if Doom had anything to say about it. Doom simply responded with a yes. As Rocket walked away, rain began to fall from above. Doom watched in silence, lost in thought. The answer he had received was not the one he had sought, but it was the one he should have expected. The universe had indeed been created in his image, and like all things, he too had his mask to wear. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.
Raccoon Shield, and there you have it. Dr. Doom and Rocket Raccoon #1 is everything you didn't know you needed, chaotic, clever, and just the right amount of unhinged. It's a one-shot that proves even the most mismatched pairings can lead to unforgettable storytelling. Books, whether you're here for Doom's iron-fisted seriousness or Rocket's out-of-pocket antics, this comic delivers both action and laughs in a surprisingly thoughtful package. Speech Balloon, let me know in the comments, did you read it? What did you think of Doom and Rocket's dynamic? And who would you pair up with Dr. Doom next? Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe for more comic breakdowns, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Brain, until next time, stay curious, stay heroic, and remember, sometimes the strangest team-ups make the best stories. Raccoon Fire, peace out, nerds.